2015 Student Council Co-Presidents. We are asked to represent our class and deliver a speech to you today. We would like to start by thanking everyone who made senior year possible. I want to thank my family for their overwhelming nagging and support. I want to be where I am today without you guys. Thank you to my teachers, directors, and coaches who have pushed me to become a better student, athlete, and performer. Thank you to the staff and administration at Bishop Luers for all that you do and for putting up with us. Finally, I would like to give a shout out to you, class of 2015, whom I have had the pleasure of getting to know. You guys certainly made my past 4 years unforgettable, and I can never thank you enough.
I would first like to thank my parents and my family. Thank you for all of your support with my crazy high school schedule and for my Catholic education. Thank you for understanding the importance of my faith in my life even before I understood. I would also like to thank my friends and my entire class for always giving me a good laugh and being my Luers family. Thank you to Mrs. Alberton and Mr. Hoop and all the staff who have influenced my life in many ways and made me a better leader, athlete, and student. I am proud to be a Knight and honored to be carrying this title for the rest of my life.
As seniors, we finally figured out the ins and outs of Luers. Somehow we were able to condense the past 4 years into what we would like to call the ABCs of Bishop Luers.
To start us off, A, Plan A. Plan A is one life plan Luers gives you before leaving. It is a path you can definitely count on, unlike an undecided major. Mrs. Hanlon in the theology department gave us the education of theology of the body, a blessing the past 4 years. Just remember, class of 2015, keep your clothes on. Plan A.
B, Battle of the Bishops. Battle of the Bishops is always the game of the year. However, during basketball season, we were able to join forces with the other school and host a Special Olympics game during halftime. Once a night, always a night, go Luers, be joiner.
C, Cold and Crouch. Bishop Luers in the wintertime is comparable to the North Pole if you ask any of the students or staff. Mrs. Hanlon wears several turtlenecks. Mrs. Mattello and Mr. Main sport vests for extra layers, and students wear crew necks and long sleeves with hopes of staying warm. That is, unless you forget a crew neck. In that case, you might think like Sarah Sturm, who pulled her arms into her shirt in order to be warm, but so unfortunately fell down the stairs with her arms tucked. The rest students take to keep warm.
Referring back to the North Pole, we would like to give a shout out to Mr. Crouch, the equivalent to Luers Santa Claus. His jolly spirit was enough to put a smile on anyone's face while they reassessed one of his tests for the 4th time. Just ask any of his calculus students.
D is for dictatorship and Bishop Darcy, the two of which have nothing in common. As Student Council Co-Presidents, we have been called dictators, particularly when we used our veto power to deny the prom theme, Cats in Space. We attempted a democratic way of things, but the tallies were tampered with, and we would like to add dictatorship was needed here.
We'd also like to remember Bishop Darcy with the letter D. He was a very influential member of the Luers family and a part of every senior's life in this room. We remember him at a very special moment in our lives today.
E is for ego. The senior class is known for its ego. We're the best, you don't have to tell us. A few that exemplify the egotistical reputation are Mike Pankowski, Ben Parks, CJ McCarter, and of course, Dr. Procise. We appreciate your contribution to our class personality.
F, food fights. Luers is notorious for its food fights. Just kidding, although there were quite a few potatoes flying around the room this year. The most exciting thing that usually happened in the cafeteria was when the lunch ladies finally brought back our chocolate chip cookies or homemade peanut butter candies. Thanks, Mrs. Obama.
G, going back to school on Tuesday. Seniors, in case any of you thought we were done, surprise, we're going back to school on Tuesday. See you there.
H, Harlem Shake. One of the most memorable experiences at Luers in our high school career was when the entire student body did the Harlem Shake in our sophomore year.
I is for Illuminati. If you would like an education on the secret society, the all-seeing eye, or how the government is the Illuminati, just ask Mr. McAtee or any of the seniors. After all, one of the infamous essay test questions this year was, explain how Rudolph and Santa Claus are a part of the Illuminati conspiracy.
our #1 supporter throughout high school. We could always turn to him. He listened to our struggles, showed us direction, and was the reason that the Luers family could come together for worship. We're talking about Jesus Christ, not you, Mr. Crouch.
K, Knights for Life. Knights for Life is a very special club here at Luers. Many seniors participated in it. Most traveled to Washington, D.C. for the National Right to Life March, joining hundreds of thousands of others. Recognizing human dignity and respect for every life is one component of our education that should be taken with us everywhere we go. Thank you to Bishop Luers for instilling in us these key principles, and thank you to those who prayed and defended life in its most innocent forms.
L, Mr. Lazaro. We would like to give a special shout out to one of the most eccentric teachers at Luers who's leaving with us. He was never seen without a cup of coffee, and it was never uncommon to hear him boisterously singing down the halls.
Mr. Lazaro, I have a confession. My 3rd period econ class had bingo Fridays this year. We played bingo filling spaces that read, talks to Bessie, talks about Disneyland, or checks the lunch schedule. We enjoyed the little things about you too. Now you know why we're so rowdy and always curious to know Friday's lunch. Thank you, Carissa Keenan, for the creation of Lazaro Bingo.
M, Mary Kiefer. How could we not mention Mrs. Kiefer, or Chief Keef, in our speech, as she was the class of 2015's principal for 3 years. We were able to experience high school with her joyful spirit, and were part of celebrating the making of Mary Kiefer Day. May 17th is one of our most celebrated and tweeted out events. Happy belated Mary Kiefer Day.
N, Newman. Mr. Newman is hands down one of the coolest teachers at Bishop Luers.
O, the only thing our student section was good at this year.
P, Ping Pong. We would like to give a thank you to Andy Mount for starting a tradition we hope will last, Bishop Luers Ping Pong League.
Q, quirky Luers things. A few quirky things that makes Luers special that we wanted to mention. Mrs. Hanlon and Mrs. Gore are royalty, queens even. Queens of room 256 and 252. Mrs. Shifley makes PowerPoints of students sleeping in her class. And Mr. Stork has donated more blood than everyone in this room combined.
Asia Royal had enough food in her locker to feed half of our class. Maybe the reason we have raccoons. The lunch ladies jam out to Adam Levine almost every day during lunch. And if you were lucky enough to have a birthday during second quarter, Jacob Shaw and John Gladdy would sing you happy birthday over the PA.
R is for raccoons, which we have taken the liberty as your dictators to establish as our class pet. Thanks, Asia.
S, seniors. Seniors, we made it. This year we were finally at the top of the totem pole, winning Who Rocks the House at the PEP sessions, leading the student section, and receiving senior discounts on meals. Never mind, that's Mr. Main and Mr. Sorg, Bishop Luers senior citizens.
T, throwback. Look around. The people around you were once strangers. You didn't know their name or what they were like. Now you might know a bit too much. That said, these past 4 years created hundreds of memories that we will look back and smile at. There are too many throwbacks to list, but here are just a few that we will always fondly remember. Mrs. Montesino's dancing and singing rat.
Tina!
Our football team playing at Lucas Oil Stadium freshman and sophomore year.
Mr. McAtee's performance of tackle football. Finally, we would like to take a second to remember a substitute some of us grew up having. Rest in peace, Mr. Townsend.
You, underclassmen. The underclassmen are going to have a very hard time trying to fill our shoes.
B, valedictorians. Congratulations to Eric and Ellen. Your academic achievements are very impressive, but we would like to wish you the best of luck in beating the quality of this speech this evening.
W, walkathon. The walkathon was so much fun this year.
X, xylophone. Most of you did not know that Bishop Luers has a state champion xylophone player. Congratulations, Isaiah Klotz.
Y, YOLO, also known as our class motto.
Z, Zwick,
and Zay.
the last in the alphabet,
And last to receive our empty diplomas, but first in your hearts.